to another level.
A lot of you have been watching me for a very long time. I've been on YouTube since YouTube began. So I'm no new jack, okay? I've been around for a very, very, very long time, for those of you who don't know me. Now I'm going to tell you why you should follow me, why you should pay attention to the content that I have. When you hear me talking, the way that I talk, the passion that I have, sometimes I get very animated, very excited. It's because I believe in what I'm saying. It's not coming from nowhere. I'm not just making this stuff up for YouTube. Anyone who has followed me, and you could go back and watch my old videos since YouTube began, I have the same exact passion and energy that I do right now. And I've been doing it that way, like I said, for 40 years. But now, I'm going to tell most of you who've been following me for years, things that you never heard before, and why I am the way I am. When I started this journey of getting into this personal development space, it started not when I joined the martial arts. It started go way back from school, okay? When I was in school, I hated school. I hated school. A lot of what school had to offer me, okay, I felt in my mind I was not going to use that in the real world. Because my love was working with my hands and automobiles. When I grew up, my father's an engineer. He also was a superintendent of a 52 apartment building, 6-story. And me and my brother, we were the maintenance people for that building. So now in that building, every single week, we had to clean that building twice a week. We had to take out the garbage can. There were no garbage bags, there were garbage cans. The big steel cans, 60 of them. 2 and 3 times a week. Sweep the building, mop the building down twice a week. And then he came behind us and did inspection. So there was no playing around as a kid. We had to work. Every time somebody moved out of an apartment, we had to clean it. If necessary, we had to paint it. We had to do the maintenance on it. So I learned to do a lot of things with my hands at a very young age. But one thing my father was a stickler for was not wasting his time. He always used to say, oh, you don't want to do it right? But now you're going to do it over. Here lies the saying, there's never enough time to do it right, but there's always enough time to do it over. So I learned to do the job right one time, so I don't have to do it twice. See, in today's society, those kind of skills are not taught. But let me continue. Now, he also had this thing that in our family, because he was from the West Indies, that education was number one. You could not be in his house and not be educated. You had to go to school. You had to go to college. That was not an option. College was not an option. You must go to college. See, because that's a big deal for immigrants. And probably today, it's still a big deal for immigrants that they want their kids to go to college. So my brother and sister, they followed the path. They went to college, okay? They graduated high school, went to college. Me, I hated high school. I hated junior high school. That's a whole nother story and a whole nother video. I hated junior high school and I hated high school. And I barely got out. And I made it clear that when it was time to get out of high school, that I'm not going to college. all hell broke loose in that house. Okay? My father went nuts. And I hope some of you parents are listening to this, if you have kids. Because he was adamant on, no, you're going. You are going. And it was a big fight amongst him and my mom weekly. So the time came, I said, I'm not going. He used to argue with my mother. And now don't forget, we lived in an apartment. He used to argue with my mother. And listen to this. So you mothers and fathers out there, pay attention to this. Imagine growing up hearing this in your head. My father used to fight with my mother and tell my mother, you cannot encourage him not to go to college. He must go to college. No one's going to live in my house without going to college and eat my labor. I'm not walking out the door and going to have some man sitting in my house not going to school or not going to work. It's never going to happen. He used to tell my mother, and don't forget, we're in an apartment, that if you encourage him not to go to college, he's going to be a bum. He's going to be nothing. Your son, not him, not his son, your son is going to wind up sleeping in the street and becoming nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I used to be in the next room, make me believe like I don't hear him. I don't hear the fight. But that fight went on for months, over and over and over. How I was going to be a failure, how I was going to become nothing. And it was my mother's fault. If I did not succeed, it was her fault. He told her, your son is going to be sleeping in the street, and every time you have to step over, it's going to be you. You are going to have to look at that and deal with that and understand it's because of you why your son is nothing. So that's how I had to deal with it, right? Now, while I was in school, guess what? The same things. I'm dealing with the same nonsense. I'm thinking to myself, okay, now I'm in school. I don't like school. I didn't do well in school because I don't like it, right? Didn't do well. And because I didn't do well, because I got into fight, because I wasn't an overachiever in school, I got put in a class with the kids who were just coming into the country. That was in junior high. So I was made to believe in junior high that you're not that smart. And this is another lesson that I have to tell you. So now I'm in this class that I don't like with people who don't speak the language, right? I'm in the class with a bunch of people who are not doing well or don't want to do well, and they're there for different reasons. I'm there because I just don't like it, but guess what? That don't matter. You get lumped in with everybody. But it was one teacher who gave a damn. One teacher who gave a damn that made the difference. That let me understood, no, you are much smarter than what you think you are. You don't belong here. And it was one person that helped me that made the difference. Because he believed in me, I started to understand that no, I don't have a problem. Okay? The system is the problem, not me. I learn and I excel in things that is meaningful to me. Things that I enjoy doing, things that I like doing. I do it and I do it well. Because you see, while I was growing up, one of the things my father always made sure, never waste your time doing the job. You're going to do the job, you do it right. You do it to the best of your ability. And that's how I always did everything that I like. Now, so I go into the workforce. I don't graduate and and the way he wanted me to do, graduate and go to college. I didn't do that. Okay? Every day, this is what I'm hearing. Now, one day, making the story as short as I possibly can, my father and mother decided to get a divorce. Now, when they get a divorce, we're sitting at the table. He calls the kids in. We're sitting at the table. I'm sitting there, right? I'm sitting down at the table, and I'm listening to him explaining why they're separated. And then I'm thinking to myself, one of the reasons it's my fault. Because they're fighting because I'm not going to college. You see, because when he talked about my brother or when he talked about my sister and any family member ever asked, well, how's your sister doing? How's your this doing? You know what he would always say? He would say with pride, oh, Jerry's going to college. Angie's going to college. So he was joyful about them and their performance. And Angela, how's David doing? Oh, you know, David is David. See, there was nothing good about me to say because I was not living up to his expectations and doing what he wanted me to do. So when they got a divorce, I already had it in my mind it was my fault. Come to find out, that's not to say that wasn't the real reason and the truth, but that's the way it felt to me. So one day, and pay attention to this, please. So when two people are going through a divorce, they do all kind of nonsense to each other. So I was now taking up a trade because I know if I'm not going to college, I'm not going to be the weak link in the family. So I took up a trade and decided to learn how to get better at something I like, which was cars, automobiles. So I used to walk there every single day. It was almost 2 miles, about 2 miles, maybe more from my house. And I walked every day because the cost of it was expensive. My mom, my sister, everybody chipped in, except for my father. He wanted nothing to do with it, so I could go. 35 people in the class, everybody's older than me, I'm a young kid. I walked every single day, there and back 2 or more miles. If I checked it out, it's probably longer than 2 miles. But 2 miles every day, going and coming, I walked. Every day. One day, it was thunderstorm raining. And I mean coming down. Coming down mercifully. Like the worst rain you could think about. The worst rain you could think about that you could put into your head right now. Imagine the worst rain you could think about. That's how hard it was raining that day. And then I walked to the front of the building and I looked outside and it's pouring. Man, it's pouring. And I told my old man, give me money so I could take the bus because it's raining. I need to get to work. I called it work because that was going to be my job in the future. He said to me, no, go ask your mother. I said, listen, I'm not playing this game. You and her got stuff going. I'm not playing it. Ma is tapped out. I'm not bothering Ma. Give me some money so I can do what I need to do, please, sir. He said, no, I don't have it. Go ask your mother. I said, I'm only going to ask you one more time. Can I please have car fare to go where I need to go? He said, boy, what did I tell you? I turned around, and you got to imagine this now. It's a corridor, a long hallway to get to the front door. I'm walking down this long hallway. He said, where you going? I said, I'm going to work, sir. I didn't turn around. I just said it loud enough for him to hear. I'm going to work, sir. He said, it's raining, it's pouring out there. I said, it's okay. And I walked. I walked in the rain that day 2 miles. 2 miles. I was drenched. My clothes were soaked, my pants were soaked, my shoes, my boots had water in them. Everything was soaked. I got there, I was crying. I was crying. I was so angry. I was so furious. I was crying, but you couldn't tell I was crying because it was pouring rain. I went in, put my scrubs on, my work clothes, went to work, did my assignment. It's still raining. I finished for the day. It's still raining. I turned around, I put on the wet clothes that I took off, and I walked 2 more miles back home. When I got back home, to the building. My father is standing, because he knew what time I come home. He's standing in the hallway. He said, did you go to your schooling, to your training? I said, yes, sir. He said, you walked in that rain? I said, yes, sir. And I just kept going, walked right past him. I went to my room. I didn't come out. I did what I had to do. I told him that day, I would never ask you for a dime, not 1 cent again in life. And that's what I did. Now, at that table, when he told my mother that we're getting a divorce, my mother asked a question. My mother said, we just bought a brand new home. See, my father's an engineer, so we were middle class, middle class. We just bought a brand new home. And they get a divorce a year later, so some of you people can relate to this. Okay? My mother said, James, how am I going to afford this house? How am I going to make the payments on this house? What am I going to do? He said, it's not my problem. You got 3 kids. He said, you got kids. That's not my part. I did my part. Let your kids help you. Everybody, my brother started crying, my sisters started crying. They were crying because of the divorce. They were crying because of what was said. My mother's thinking, how's she going to keep this house? It's impossible. And I just stood there, and I just looked at everybody crying. Because the incident I just told you about, that happened before that statement, before that meeting. And I just looked. I'm so angry, I just looked. I just looked at everybody crying. Okay? And then I told my father something that he didn't like. I'm not going to tell you on camera. Tell you something that he didn't like. It wasn't nothing nasty, because back in those days, you cannot be disrespectful to your parents. No matter what. Boom. I went to work. Every day. Now, guess what happened? This is where it's important. Okay? After that happened, I'm wondering, my mother's not losing her house. I'm not a failure, and I'm not going to be a failure. Okay? Tony Robbins, Anthony Robbins infomercial came on. Made his tapes. Okay? Fire Walk, Fear in the Power tapes. Personal protection tape, personal tapes. Okay? Tony Robbins made his tapes. Bang! I bought the tapes. Personal development. I started listening to Tony Robbins every single day. I bought my little Walkman, my little thing, headphones. I went to work with them. Bam, bam, bam. Every day. 8 hours a day. Carry the cassette. I brainwashed, if you want to call it that. I reprogrammed myself for failure and everyone around me, because nobody around me was talking about success. Nobody around me was talking about getting better. Nobody around me was talking about taking it to another level. Tony Robbins was. Jim Rohn was. Zig Ziglar was. Les Brown was. Brian Tracy was. And those are the people I latched onto and I listened to. Over and over and over. I graduated from that class out of 35, number 1, the youngest kid. I went to work. The guy who taught me, his name was Trixie, an Italian guy. Taught me so well. He said, I don't know what's driving you, but I never seen anybody work the way you work. Boom. Went to get a job. He told me, never let anybody tell you you're not good because of your age. He goes, you work like someone who has 10 years experience. I don't know what's driving you. I took his advice. He said, don't let anybody take advantage of you. Went out into the workforce. Guess what happened? Listen to me carefully. I had 11 jobs in 1 year. I never got fired. I had 11 jobs in 1 year. I worked, every place I worked there for a month. They didn't give me what I was worth. I quit. Moved to the next one. Because he told me what I worth. Move to the next one, move to the next one, move to the next one. I worked the job. Okay? I worked with a group of guys in Long Island City, great guys. Okay? One of the guys, I'm telling you the story. So if you don't like what I'm going to say, too goddamn bad. This is what happened. One of the guys in Long Island City didn't care for blacks too much. The other partner was kind of a liberal. I went to work for them, told him what I wanted. He said, oh, hell no, I'm not giving you that money. I'm not giving you that kind of money. He goes, who the hell is this kid demanding that kind of money? I said, let's see what he can do. I went to work with them. Boom. I was with those particular guys 5 years. After I left them, I went to the next job. Same thing. Because of my age, they didn't want to pay me the money that I want. Boom, went to the next job. Right? Same scenario, same type of thing. And just to be clear, you see that job that the guy wasn't too favorable for blacks? Me and him became very good friends. Because why? That's the way it is. Some people, if you don't know, you judging people without being around people. Maybe you're judging people by just stuff you heard and not because of actual interaction with people. Went to that next job. Same thing. Didn't want to hire me because I'm too young. Didn't want to give me what I was worth. Finally, proved myself. 15 years there. 15 years. One day. Missed one day of work in 15 years. Never late. Always on time. There before the boss. 15 years. One day of work. Missed one day of work. That's what I got from those tapes. That personal development. Becoming better. Becoming better. While I was at that job. Now here's the story. While I was at that job. I had a situation where an older gentleman who was very good. He was just older. He was just getting old. So he slowed down. Couldn't put out as many cars as the rest of the guys could. I overheard the bosses talking about firing him. And all I could think about was this guy. He's a good guy, a good man. Been with them for years, but because he couldn't keep up and getting a little slow, that didn't mean nothing. They let him go. That's what happens in the real world. Okay? When they're ready to cut you, they don't give a damn how many years you spent on the job. You get laid off. Here's your piece of gold. Sorry. Thank you for, here's a gold watch. Except in my field, you got no gold watch. After they let him go, I said, no. That's not happening to me. I already got 15 years in, and I'm still young. I said, I'm getting out of here. Tony Robbins, all the motivational, the Zig Ziglar, the Les Brown, the Jim Rohn, the Earl Nightingale, all of that motivational stuff, I quit my job. My mother lost her mind. My mother still had a house. My mother never lost her house. Always payment, always on time. Never a problem. I helped my mother out, right? Here now. Pay attention. Now, after I left my job, my mother said, where are you going to make that kind of money? Because I was making the kind of money that a guy with a family was making. I was single. I was a kid. I was young. Said, you're never going to get a job like that. Go back there and ask that man if he will rehire you. Please ask him for your job back because you don't know what you're doing. You're making a mistake. I left the job. Nobody in my family ever owned a business. Nobody in my family ever did business. I left the job. I left the job. And when I left the job, I had the confidence and the belief in myself. Nobody in my family ever owned anything. I believed in myself through that motivational, through that personal development, through those tapes, through strangers, man, because nobody in my family was behind me. I left, opened up a cleaning business. For my cleaning business, I opened up an auto detail business. From the auto detail business, I said, you know what? Professor V is getting older. I'm still training in my jiu-jitsu. I had to make a choice. That's why I tell you people, you gotta make a choice some point in your life. You got to go all in. You got to stop being comfortable. Because I was comfortable because we were making money. We were making money. At least what we thought was money back in the day. Okay? Now, quit the job. Went into the doing this. Doing the martial arts stuff. Here's what happened. Told everybody. Bam, 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 bam. I went into school. Everyone said, don't do it. Don't do it. You're making a mistake. Did it? No big deal. Started getting some people. I went from one school to another school to another school. Every school got larger than the one before. Here's now the real story. And I hope everybody is still paying attention. If you are, you're going to learn something from this. When I went to open up my third school, the biggest school, the big school in Manhattan, I went from a storefront, 1,200, not even 1,000, I think 1,000 square feet storefront school on Atlantic Avenue, to a 6,000 square foot school. 1,000 to 6,000. $500 rent? At $600 rent? The first rent to $5,000. Are you paying attention? From $600 to $5,000. And that was only the beginning. Everybody told me, you are out of your mind. I took my guys to go see that school. All the guys that my main guys have been with me for years. They're like, yo, dude, nah, this ain't gonna work. No, nah. Yo, what are you doing? How are you gonna go from here to there? How are you gonna do that? It's not possible. I said, I'm gonna do it. So against everybody's advice, I went down and seen the place and got it. I asked the top people in the martial arts that I really had respect for, I admired, I idolized them growing up in the martial arts. I went to them. I asked their advice. And one of them told me, look me right in my face, this is not one of the top instructor in the martial arts at the time. Looked me in my face and said, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? And I said, sir, I don't understand. He said, who do you think you are? He said, man, they're not going to let you make it. They're not going to let you make it over there. He said, you don't, and then started laughing. He said, you think you're going to make it in Manhattan? You think you're going to make it in Manhattan? He held out his hand, and he was black. He held out his hand, and he went like this. He flipped his hand over, and he said, who do you think you are? They're not going to let you make it over there. And I was naive, and I said, what are you talking about? And this is it. See, here's the dream. I had a dream. I had a vision. I said, sir, the system has never been in any place other than community centers, backyards, basements, churches. What if the system can have the same exposure as the big guys have? We're just as good. We have the same stuff to offer. Why not? Let's go for it. What if it works? And he said to me, okay, you go ahead on. But don't say I didn't tell you, brother. Don't say I didn't tell you. And I said, sir, I'm going to try. And I tried. And when I did, here's what happened. I went down, I signed the lease. Listen to this carefully. The first lease was over $1 million. Okay? And I'll tell you why later. The very first lease, $60,000 the first year, $60,000 plus, because every year, every month, every time it goes up, And then after that, it was $1 million lease, a multi-million-dollar. I'll tell you why. So when I'm signing the first lease, I have $800 in my pocket. I'm sitting there with my lawyer. Here's this lease. And the guys are telling me how they're going to throw me in jail and make me personally responsible. I said, I don't want to hear all that. Just give me the paperwork. How many of you would have the belief to sign a lease and headed toward $1 million lease with $800 in your pocket? I didn't give a damn. I believed in me. I believed in me. I signed that lease. Started out, bam! Here's what happened. And I'm going to try to make this a very short story. First 5 years, in the black. Struggle like hell. First 2 years was hell. Hell. We never, just not in the black, in the red. Here's what happened. First 2 years, man, it was crazy. Wasn't making it. Was not making it. I told my guys, listen, we can't do this with the jiu-jitsu alone. I said, I'm going to go train. I'm going to go train Thai and come back and let's see what happens. I came back. I wanted to add the Thai, the kickboxing, and the Thai boxing to the system. All my guys, my top guys, and some of them were investors in the school. They all told me, no. I said, I want to do this. I want to add this to the school. All of them said, no, do not touch $1 of the school's money for your crazy idea. Do what you do and forget about that. See, here's the personal development again, okay? Believing in yourself, your belief. I said, no. So now I'm thinking, how am I going to do this now? Every day I used to go eat in a place called Stage Deli. Went to Stage Deli. The guy in Stage Deli said to me, what's going on, Dave? You don't look too good today. I told him the story. He lent me the money, a total stranger lent me the money that I needed to do what I had in my mind, the vision I had in my mind. My own people around me said no. A total stranger lent me the $10,000 that I needed. And he said, here's the deal. Pay me back with interest. He said, I got 2 kids. They train with you for life. My kids train with you until they don't want to train with you no more. And you pay me back with interest. I said, bet. How many of you would have made a deal like that? How many of you would have made a deal like that? Paid back with interest. Paid back with interest, okay? And let their family members train with you for life. For life. I said, yes, no problem. You have your money back in 6 months. He looked at me, he said, what? I said, 6 months, you have your money back. Went to work. The only thing that kept those doors open was that Thai training. The only thing that kept those doors open, what brought in the most income, was the Thai kickboxing. Now, had an opportunity to get 2 more floors in the building because the other stuff that was in there wasn't working out. I brought them out. Now, we got 3 floors, $20,000 a month plus rent. To make a long story short, 15 years we were there until the World Trade Center collapsed because we were by the World Trade Center. Okay? All that time and all those things happened because of personal development and because I believed in what I was doing. It was personal development, the fitness, okay? Because the only way I stayed strong, because I taught 7 classes a day. 7 classes a day. I worked 18 hours a day. I was the maintenance man, the instructor. I had help, but I got 3 floors, 6,000 square feet, 18,000 square feet that I had to take care of. 18 hours a day. Okay? How do you do that if you're not fit? I trained in 7. I didn't teach 7 classes. I was involved. Ask anyone who knows me. The same energy from class to class to class. The same motivation from class to class to class. For 15 years. Not one class, all the classes. Every class. We had a gym, a full gym. After I'm training, at the end of the day, I went upstairs and I did a full workout. Because good enough isn't good enough if you could be better. And I knew I had more to give and I could be better. So understand, when you see me and you wonder, oh, well, what qualifies you for self-defense training? What qualifies you for fitness training? What qualifies you for this personal development coaching? I lived it, and I'm still living it today. Still living it today. Because there's a lot more that happened in between. Okay, there's a lot more that happened in between. If I stay here be for an hour, I lost money, big money. See, because there's no success without failure. I lost big money 3 times. Stuff that would have put most people out of business, would have drove most people to drinking or doing drugs, would have collapsed most people. I lost everything. I was homeless, sleeping on my buddy's couch. I went from here to the bottom. And when I was at the bottom, and I had nothing left, my sister's going, are you okay? What are you going to do? How are you going to get through this? I said, everything's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm good. My mother begged me, come home, come back to the house. Come back and stay in the house. I said, no. Because I know if I go down that path, that's the easy path. See? She would have made things comfortable for me because she know how much I lost. I lost everything. She would have cooked breakfast in the morning. She would have let me sleep late at night. And that would have been the end of me. I took the hard way. I didn't take the easy way. I took the hard way. I slept on my buddy's couch. Somebody offered me a couch, and I took it. And I slept on the couch, and I went to rebuild. And I rebuilt from the couch. From the couch, I rebuilt. Not one school, 2 schools. One out of the 2 failed. The other one is this one that we're in right now. We're here now, 22 years, September 11th. September 17th, 22 years. We're here. Do you understand? There's no success without failure. And I kept on coming back and coming back and coming back and coming back from the bottom. During COVID, all my people, we had to start from zero. From zero. Every application we had, every customer we had, I had nothing. Had to rebuild from zero. My attitude never changed. If I tell you how I was living, you would tell me you're a liar. Okay? No way in hell. I've done things that I know none of you would ever do. I lived a way that none of you would ever think about living in today's modern age. Everything for this system. Everything to survive. Everything to win. To win. I am not losing. I will never be that person my father said. Ever. No matter what. He was wrong. Oh, he was really, really wrong. Okay? You have no idea how wrong he was. My mother never, like I said, she never wanted for nothing until the day she died. In fact, she had an abundance until the day she died. See? And after my mother died, you want to talk about hard? After my mother died, which was one of the hardest days of my life, in fact, the hardest day of my life, I lost my family, my whole entire family. I lost my family 2 months later. You want to talk about hard? You want to talk about getting kicked in the behind? Imagine losing the most important person in your life, the person you love more than anything. 2 months later, I lost my family. and I had to keep going. Personal development was the only thing that got me through. Only thing that got me through. Ed Marlette, Tony Robbins, all of the Zig Ziglars, the Les Browns, the Jim Rohns. I drowned myself in that stuff. That's all I had because I lost everything. That's all I had. So don't tell me personal development don't work. Don't tell me personal development don't have value. Don't tell me that if you make up your mind and you change the way you think, that you become somebody else. You become somebody that people around you never recognize. To this very day, my family don't understand me. My family don't understand how the hell I do what I do. How do I come back from the things I come back from? How do I not let things affect me the way it affects everybody else? My own family don't understand. So that's my story. So don't ever tell me I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Don't ever tell me, oh, this guy's just blowing smoke out of his behind. Because what I went through would have crushed most of you people listening to. And I'm not finished yet. I'm on a mission. I made a promise to my mother. I'm going to keep it. I made a promise to Professor V, to the old man. I'm going to keep it. And I'm right now, all those videos, all that stuff that I'm doing, all this content, everything that I'm doing right now, guys, is to keep my promise. Because the only thing a man has in this world is his word. And if your word ain't anything, you ain't anything. So when you see me point to my signs where it says purpose before pleasure, that's what I had to do. I had to sacrifice. I had to do without. I had to give up. No pleasure. No doing the stuff that other people were able to do. I had to sacrifice. I had to suck it up. See? So I walk my talk. And I'm asking you, any one of you out there that this story can relate to, it was long. I'm sorry, but it could have been even longer. But I'm asking any one of you out there who are going through stuff, personal development, fitness, because when you exercise and really exercise, when you're feeling bad, if you're a runner, you run. If you're a swimmer, you swim. If you're a hiker, you hike. If you're a biker, you bike. If you're a martial artist, do your martial arts. If you're a gym person, go into the gym and give it all you got. You'll feel better after you do it. And it'll help you, give you the strength to make it through another day. Because this too shall pass. So guys, that's my story. And I hope it's valuable, and I hope it helps some of you. And I hope you understand why I am the way I am. I didn't just start this like this. I've been this way. My first school opened in 1984. And I've been this way since 1984. I've been yelling, screaming, motivating, bringing people up because I understand what it did for me, how it brought me from the bottom to the top. I want to do the same for you. So contact me. Contact me if you need help, contact me. And if you can do it on your own, then do it on your own. But do it. It's worth it.
To another level. Let's hit it.